Sometimes our souls need comfort. For many of us, the recognition of our sin can be a burden that weighs us down, especially when we become aware of something we've said or done to deeply wound someone else. We can carry a load of guilt that can feel like a 50-pound pack on our back until we find some way to let go of that guilt. Today's introduction to the prayer of confession speaks directly to this experience that most of us have from time to time. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, February 12th, 2022. The hymn, "There is a Balm in Gilead," speaks to the experience of being weighed down with guilt. The refrain says it all. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. I love that term that it uses, the sin-sick soul. It is an apt description of the experience of being weighed down with guilt for what we've done. One of the passages of Scripture we frequently use to lead into the prayer of confession is a quote from Jesus in the 11th chapter of Matthew, and it speaks directly to the sin-sick soul. I usually use the words out of the Revised Standard Version rather than the New Revised Standard because the RSV is more lyrical. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Notice the contrast here between labor and rest, between a heavy burden and one that is light. This passage perfectly captures, I think, the need we often have to unburden ourselves of our guilt. Notice that the language it uses adopts the language of weight or burden. Sometimes our experience of guilt and remorse literally feels as though we were carrying a heavy burden. And this burden, left undealt with, can have a literal physical impact on not only our emotional and spiritual health, but our physical health as well. The psalmist knew the healing power of confession as well, saying, "Happy are those whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Happy are those to whom the Lord imputes no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. While I kept silence, my body wasted away through groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was dried up as by the heat of summer. Then I acknowledged my sin to you, and I did not hide my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave me the guilt of my sin." The psalmist recognized that the burden of sin can have an impact on our physical health as well as our emotional health. That's why confessing our sin is so important. If we want to experience emotional and physical well-being, unburdening ourselves by our sense of guilt is an important element of it. We come to confession to unburden ourselves of the weight of guilt we carry around. Jesus' words remind us that in Him we can indeed exchange our heavy burden for something much, much lighter. What a difference it can make in our lives when we take seriously the need to confess before God. When we return on Monday, we'll look at some of the words we use in the assurance of pardon. Until then, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.